Hello, friends. This is your host, Dr. Lauryn Brunslick, and we have a really fun episode for you today. I am interviewing Dr. Lacey Nevel, and she is, okay, I don't know if the word is misogynistic, but like, she's so freaking adorable. I just want to be friends with her and grab coffee every week. So we know each other. We actually, I don't know everybody who I interview, but Lacey and I have known each other for a couple of years. We've run in the same circles, at the same events, things like that. And I officially am stalker level, I think, of her Instagram. But no, I get a lot of questions on the show about what people should do in the beginning when they're not making as much money as they want in their business, or maybe they are making money with their business, but they want to see how they can add other modalities and things in. And Lacey is, she's really integrated into the birth fit world and the young living world. And she's just got a fun way of looking at life. And I thought, you know what, let's have her on and let's talk about the side hustle. So Dr. Lacey Nevel is a chiropractor, entrepreneur, birth worker, and birth fit staff member. She was born and raised in Oklahoma, and she planted roots in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and runs a high-volume, all-cash family wellness practice called Free Spirit Chiropractic with her husband, Dr. Colton Nevel. Along with running a growing practice, she teaches professionals within birth fit, coaches, students, and startup chiropractors, and runs a side hustle with Young Living. And then she puts #mailbox money. I like it. That's what we like. You can find her traveling the world, testing out local coffee shops, sipping jalapeno margaritas with mezcal, dancing and singing to the hottest TikTok songs, and cheering on her alma mater, the University of Oklahoma, during football season. She's out to change the way people live in the world for the better and cheering everyone on in whatever goals or dreams that they have been told they can't achieve. And she's here today to talk to us. And we kind of talk about a lot of things. We talk a little bit about oils. We talk about marketing. We talk about kind of the straight versus mixers thing. We're kind of all over the place, but it's a really great conversation, and I think you're going to like it. So before we do that, I am going to call out a listener who took the time to go write a review in Apple Podcasts for me. So this is Pony Girl 94, and it's called The Realest Thing You'll Listen to All Day. Says, Dr. Lauryn is seriously the best thing to come to podcasts for me personally while I'm in chiropractic school. I'm over halfway through and I'm thinking about my future practice. Dr. L's raw stories, views, and opinions truly inspire me. Plus, you're guaranteed to laugh out loud. I'm truly excited to listen to this series unfold. Thank you to Dr. Lauryn, firstly, for being you and creating the space for women of chiropractic. And secondly, to Dr. Denise Weber for the recommendation. Dr. Denise is my girl. That was me, not Pony Girl, writing that. So thank you so much for writing that review and taking that time. I say it every week, but you guys, every time I get those reviews on Apple Podcasts, it really, really fills my heart, and it helps bring the podcast to other people. So thank you very much for taking the time to do that. So one last thing before we jump in, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to pray. Dear God, thank you so much for the beauty in conversations like these. Thank you for Enneagram 7s, Dr. Colton and Dr. Lacey, who we talk about today. They share that they're both 7s. And man, we just need more 7s in the world to bring joy and creativity and spark and not get too drudged down in the details and the sadness that we could focus on. So thank you for conversations like this that bring brevity and joy and inspiration and creativity. Help all of us, even not the 7s or the 3s, to be inspired by this and see how they can continue to have an open mind about what being a chiropractor means, and to feel like they can boldly make decisions for their business without judgment from other chiropractors as to whether that they're being straight chiropractic enough, and to allow any ego. I share in this episode how my ego has gotten in the way of incorporating other things, and allow all of that to just continue to dissipate, so we can show up for our patients, palms open to serve them, and whatever that looks like. In your name we pray, amen. Okay, so here's a fun conversation between Dr. Lacey Nevel and I. Hope you enjoy. Oh, welcome to the show, Lacey. Now your Zoom thing says Lacey Wilson.
I know.
It almost threw me. I was like, Dr. Lacey Nevel. It's Nevel now.
Yeah. Yes.
I changed that Zoom name.
I know. Everything is still in my previous name.
Did you change your name? Because you just got married
last year. Yeah, almost a year. Yeah, I changed it.
Okay.
You know how it is. It's like slowly, getting everything.
You log into something and you're like, oh, that's still my old name. Yeah. Well, welcome to the show. I've been meaning to have you on for a while, just kind of waiting for the right topic.
Yes.
So I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Okay. So today we're going to kind of skirt around a couple. I don't have a specific question because a lot of times, I'm sure you've listened to the show. Like a lot of times we have a specific question from someone. Mm-hmm. And this question I've gotten in a couple different forms. People just wondering about the idea of getting additional money while they're starting up. And I have all sorts of opinions on that. And then also I get a different kind of question of people feeling bad that they're talking about anything besides chiropractic in clinic. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of been stalking you on Instagram for the last I've been stalking you for longer than this, but I've really noticed in the last 6 months, you've started getting loud and proud about your oil side gig.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, let's have you on to talk about that.
Yeah.
So before we jump into that though, you got to do the cliche question of please tell us kind of your background and, tell us about your husband and your practice and how you got it started, and take the floor.
Yeah. So I'm Dr. Lacey Nevel as of a year ago, was Wilson. Some people, it's funny when I go speak at places, they're still calling me Dr. Wilson, and I'm like, it's whatever. But so I practice in Tulsa, Oklahoma at Free Spirit Chiropractic. I practice with my husband, Colton Nevel. We've been together. It's funny because people, when we were first opening, we weren't married. We weren't even engaged at that time. We had been together for 7 years. We met when we were...
Wait a minute. He didn't propose before you opened up?
No.
What a dick.
No, it's so funny.
It just strategically makes more sense of honey, wouldn't it be nice if we could be yes, we're married or engaged?
It's funny because at our grand opening, there was, all these people, we had 150 people there, and this couple came up and they were like, are you brother and sister? And I think that's where Colton was like,
okay, I'm going to put a ring on this.
Yeah. But it is funny too, because the whole backstory, I'll get into that here in a second about the office and the craziness that we went through. But we obviously were zoning a house. It wasn't going as planned. We were supposed to be open by November of 2018 or 2017. We didn't open until May of 2018. Oh, Colton had graduated April of 2018. So literally he was driving back and forth to Tulsa from pretty much when we bought the house in August of 2017 to the time we opened. Literally at 3 a.m., he was leaving Tulsa to go back to his internship in Dallas. So it was because he was like, I have to do this build out, because we did most everything, ourselves at first. But it's funny, when we were going through everything and zoning it, we had the grand opening date set, all this stuff. Well, he kept bugging me one day to come to the office and take photos. And I was like, I have to get my nails done. You're in that hustle grind, especially for me, I'm a control freak. So I was trying to get everything ready for the grand opening, and later found out he didn't propose until July. So 2 or 3 months after we opened, but he was going to propose the day of our grand opening.
Oh my gosh. And you ruined
it. And I ruined it.
That's fantastic. I told Kirby, we dated I don't know, the standard amount of time. I think he proposed after 2 years or something. Yeah. And I told him like as we were, because I also have control issues. So like we had ring shopped and I said like, okay, just to be clear, I don't want to feel like an asshole on the day I get proposed to. And I easily go asshole. Like I easily just go there if like, I said, please don't try and do the like thing where you get me all like in a tizzy.
Oh yeah.
And like, surprise, I'm actually doing something really nice. So luckily I didn't have that, but like I would have easily blown it.
Yeah, no, that's totally Colton too. He knew I was either going to find out somehow or I would blow it. So he proposed on 4th of July weekend at my parents' house. And I was so drunk the whole day because we were like we always have a huge party. And I actually have a video. One of my aunts posted it on Facebook. And it's so funny because my practice members have seen that. And they're like, that was the best thing ever. But I'm like dancing, being a fool. And my corgi is behind us like barking. The fireworks are going off. It's not even sunset because Colton wanted fireworks to propose. And so I turned around and he was on one knee and I said, are you fucking kidding me? And it's like, okay, real classic.
Romantic.
That's like perfect. And that sense of like, it was a total surprise and that's totally like us. But anyways, yeah, it was a good time. But anyway, yeah. So we got married last year. We've been open. We just celebrated our 2-year. Colton and I actually met before chiropractic school. It's kind of crazy. We met in undergrad. He played football 3 hours away. I was at OU at the time. We met at a concert at Kane's Ballroom, which is a like big place here in Tulsa. And it was funny. Everybody always asks, oh, what concert? And it was, I'm so embarrassed. It was like a rave. Like,
oh yeah.
Up, like, dubstep. So never again, but
just change your answer. Like, Shania Twain. I don't know if that would be any better.
And people are like, oh, what DJ? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And if you ever heard like who it was, you'd be like, why were you even there? I question why I was even there all the time. But yeah, so he was what was he going to school for at the time? I think dietetics or something. And so we just started talking about it. We both like, were not looking for a relationship, anything like that. And it was really cool because it just kind of flourished, right? And it was like, we both were kind of pushing it away, but he was like, I'm thinking about going to chiropractic school. And I was already about to graduate. And so, yeah, we went to Parker together. We opened up this practice and we always knew we wanted to open up a practice. It's interesting, especially like practicing with your spouse. Everybody in school was like, don't do it. Like, if I can give you any word of advice, don't do it. Yeah. They were like, you always start out really
dumbest advice ever. I purposely don't hire associates who are married to a chiropractor who works at a different clinic. Cause I'm like, well, hello, the writing's on the wall. They're going to be like, we should just do this 100%. Together.
Yeah. And so Colton and I were like, people were like, set a goal, like 5-year goal, 3-year goal, 10-year goal, whatever. And Colton and I were like, no, we're not going to set a goal. Like, we'll just, expand our practice or whatever. And so it's worked out really good. People always ask us like, how do you guys work together? And you just leave your shit at the door. It's that easy. It's like, okay, we may be getting into a full blown argument and then we go in and it's like, all right, game face on. Let's do this.
You get into flow mode, right? I mean, it's the same thing that like you can get a shitty email saying that your kid's failing math or something. And then you go adjust patients because it's like, you're there, so it probably helps like a couple hours later. You're just like, do you ever remember what we were fighting about?
Right.
You're like, oh yeah, I remember what we're fighting about. But
me, I'm like, I hold on to that. No, but yeah, so we own a practice. I'm also a BirthFit leader. BirthFit is a company that helps pregnancy and postpartum parents really just like prepare for labor and delivery, but also into that 4th trimester and just like preparing for, the unknown, right? That's what postpartum is. And then, postpartum lasts forever. So I actually started BirthFit when I was in chiropractic school. I found it. And at first I thought, oh, it's cool. It's like a fitness thing for pregnancy and postpartum, when in reality, it's like, that's only very small of it. And 2 years ago, I transitioned on the staff of BirthFit. And so now I go and teach professionals, so like midwives, OBs, all of those, chiropractors, PTs, all the things. And we do seminars and it's really cool. So that's been awesome for our practice as well. And Colton actually did that as well through school. He did like the BirthFit stuff with me. And that's like the number one thing is I feel like if I could give a word of advice too, if you're opening up with like a friend or a spouse, it's like you guys have to be on that same page 100%, or else it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like people always were like, did he ever want to do sports and you do like moms and babies? And it was like, no.
We do get that question. I get it a lot of like, we have our completely different audiences. And I'm like, it's okay. This can work. It's not ideal.
But you gotta like be upfront about that. Be like, okay, that's separate then. And like be upfront with your people too.
Yeah. So Do you have to do CrossFit to be a birth fit person?
No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that blows my mind. I always just thought like it's CrossFit for pregnant women.
Yeah. Yeah. It always because of the fit with it. And it really like, yes, in the beginning, she started it out as a blog and it was like she trained CrossFitters. She was in the CrossFit world with her husband at the time. And so, yes, it got like a name for that, but now there's like yogis in it. I mean, really it's more, I love it because it's like, there's the coach side of things and the coaching can be any type of coaching. And then there's the professional side of things. And so to be a birth fit professional, you don't have to do anything with the coaching side and then vice versa.
Got it. Well, geez. Yeah. All right. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I barely gave you any warning that I was going to ask this question, but I decided on my last interview, I think when it was with Jen Epstein, that I was going to just ask people every time officially, like, if you know your Enneagram, because it's just like, I see all these things and I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. You guys open together. So you know yours, right?
Yeah. I'm a 7.
Okay.
And Colton is a 7.
Okay. So 2 7s. So first of all, for people listening, a 7 is constantly referred to as the party. Mm-hmm. They are the person they're the person who's always up for the last minute road trip. And like, please interrupt me if you're like, actually, they're usually the one who don't want the night to end or are like, one more round of shots. And they're not just drinkers.
Yeah.
I identify as a 7 in that aspect. Yeah. But just very experience and adventure oriented, like very much up for things. Now, the downside of a 7 is often that you're so distracted with the next thing that it's hard to complete projects.
100%.
So can you talk a little bit about like you and Colton being the same type? So Kirby and I'm a 3, he's a 9. Mm-hmm. So like we balance. How does 2 7s work? And like, because I just picture you being like, I had an idea. What if we did this? And he's like, yes, forget everything. This is my new focus in life.
Yes. It's funny that you and Kirby are a 3 and a 9, right? You said, because he's very close to a 9 and I'm very close to a 3. Yeah. So it's like, I'm the one who, yes, we're both like, let's start the project, but then he may drift off into Wonderland and I'm over here like, okay, I'm the achiever. So I've got to definitely get shit done.
Yep.
And so I'm always like, okay, I'm going to finish it, type thing. So it's really hard to have that balance, but it's also like very interesting how that dynamic can work. Because there's things that like, I won't be as motivated about to do, but he's like full gung ho about it. And it's like, all right, he can get me that 7 in him to get me motivated to be on track with that as well. Yeah.
And I mean, I guess with that, it means he can keep up with you.
Mm-hmm.
Thing of like, it's not like, no, there's too much already. It's like, yes, we should get a backyard tank pool.
Yes. Yeah. Let me just tell you that took a lot of convincing. So if people don't know, I have a stock tank pool. It's funny because I put like a little poll up. I was like, should I put one of these in my backyard or is it too hillbilly? I had like 5 people put it was hillbilly and literally like 180 people say like, do it. And so Colton was not about it. And me and my best friend, so we also have a hot tub. My best friend is like single, very loud. Colton has like a love-hate relationship with her, but we were like drinking.
I hope she knows that because she does now.
Oh, 100%. She knows. She's like, they fight literally like brother and sister all the time. It's so funny. But she was like, we got to get one. Think of all the backyard parties we can have. And Colton's like, I'm a total host. I will have a party for anything. That's where Colton's 9 drifts in of like, I'm cool with a few people, but not a huge gathering. And I'm like, we're just going to do this. And I put the Facebook event up. But it took some convincing, but he's loving it now. So it's been fun.
That's good. Okay. So I've never really asked you philosophically where you and Colton stand because I don't feel like I've had to, but maybe I'm surprised. So like in the whole like straight and mixer thing, you two seem very straight.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, you're very founded in your chiropractic philosophy.
Totally. Yeah.
And did that start in chiropractic school that you both started developing that? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yes. In school, we were very like straight, so to speak, chiropractors. Going to Parker's kind of gets the bad rep of, they have a lot of like mixers and all of that. And I've never been one to be like, oh, I'm a straight and you're a mixer.
Right.
Like, it's whatever. But we both were very like philosophical, green books, went to all the seminars. I mean, it was funny when we were doing our taxes after our like, ending chiropractic school. My mom was like, do you want to know how much money you guys have spent over the course of 4 years on seminars? She's like, it is literally ungodly, like the amount of travel and everything. But that's always what we were doing. Again, the 7 of travel and then also like earning, wanting to do more. So definitely through and through. And when we opened our practice, it was a big debate. And I know we'll talk about here in a second, my side hustle, but we both wanted to do just chiropractic, but we also knew through BirthFit too, like learning about there's other things that can complement just chiropractic. And so we started implementing things like that. And it was really a debate between us two because Colton was so like green book heavy, and I was to a certain extent, but he was so like, live by it, breathe it, talk about it, everything. And I was more, in that BirthFit realm with learning, okay, like 100% that's first, but there's other things that we can be doing to help, with the adjustment. And so whenever we started implementing other things, it was a debate. He was like, I don't want to bring that into the office because I don't want people to think like that over chiropractic. And it was like, it's
my
not
number one concern specifically. Well, no, I guess I shouldn't say specifically with oils because there's all sorts of different things.
Totally.
That's my thing. And this is 100% my ego. And I'm going to admit that this is my ego that I can just fast forward and somebody being like, yeah, that lavender oil really helped with the baby's colic. And I'm like, really? Having my fingers over here, like, I think it was a lavender oil, huh? You used it once, third adjustment, and all of a sudden your baby's, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Does that come up? Does it?
It's interesting because we thought that. And when we started implementing oils in the practice, honestly, at the beginning, it was just to diffuse. Colton and I had started using oils in chiropractic school. I didn't sell it or anything like that. We were just obsessed with candles and, like everybody is. And so I was like, learning about them, the chemical stressors in school and the 3 T's and all of that. And I was like, let's do better, right, in our personal lives. And then we always knew, like, when we wanted to open the practice, let's start diffusing them because we want our whole like office, if everybody follows us, it is totally about the experience. I think that's like what sets Free Spirit apart from a lot of other offices is I'm always like, let's create this total experience where 3 days from now, whenever you're at home, you're knowing something, you have a smell, you have a scent, something comes up that reminds you of us. So it always keeps you wanting more. And so we started diffusing, and then we started saying, okay, let's play around with it and apply topically. That's where Colton and I got into debates because he was like, I don't want to even put oils on display. But honestly, like, it was so amazing to see the results, and there was no denying it. When we first opened, we did a lot of perfect storms and saw a lot of ADHD kids, ADD kids, and like just having them able to calm down before the adjustment. Because you know how that is sometimes. Those high sensory kids are really hard to get on the table. It took nothing to put, gentle babies or lavender or something on them where just like 5 seconds and they calm, and then they get on the table. And it's like, so that was kind of the intro to Colton of like, okay, these can be useful. But we don't really ever it's all about how you communicate it too. I always say, like, I ask people, do they do oils, what supplements they take, all of that when they first come in. And my girls are constantly talking about it, but it's never oils over the adjustment or the adjustment over oils. It's always a conversation of, this is just going to help everything really be that much better together.
Yep. That makes total sense. And then, so you said, like, what kind of is your conversation around when you incorporate it in? What is your like verbiage around, like, I'm doing this now and this should help, or, like.
Yeah, no. So we're diffusing it at first, and we had them on display, like probably 10 or 15 oils that I knew I used. And the number one thing that people would say when they came in was, wow, it smells so good. I can literally smell it from the parking lot. And so that, like, even for like a new practice member coming in, they walk in and they're like at ease already. Cause they're like, oh, okay, this smells good. It feels like an experience, even though it's chaotic sometimes. It feels like that, like, calming experience. And then honestly, we don't really, in my day one, I ask them, like, do you do oils, all that stuff? Because we do the insight scans. And this is something Colton and I started to notice last year, where the people that were super oily that came in, because we do have a lot of people in the practice that are like high up in Young Living. They do that as their primary business. Number one, their scans were almost always better than people that didn't, which was really
You're like, damn it, how am I supposed to communicate your stress?
No, it's cool though, because it's like, okay, you already get that chemical stress aspect to it.
Yep.
But then it's like we run 100% cash practice. We don't do super bills, nothing like that with insurance. Having that conversation about finances, especially in the beginning, to those people that already get that health is not necessarily covered by insurance, they're already like, I'll pay whatever, And so it took away that, like, especially in that startup phase, it's kind of intimidating. Like, you're broke. You're like, I'm just trying to like make some money, trying to do it all. And I don't know, it just like took away that like awkwardness, which was really awesome and really helped our practice like grow. And it's interesting. It's like, it's free marketing too, because people will post pictures of the diffuser or the oils, especially if they are oily. And they're like, oh my gosh, my chiropractor uses oils. It's a total experience. It's all about like whole body wellness. And then they talk about like, they do more than just the adjustment, which it's funny because it's like,
Does that drive Colton crazy?
No, because he's like, it gets people in, and it's like people come in and they just get adjusted. And a lot of chiropractors in Tulsa are a certain coaching group that they cattle people in and out. And that's what people would come in is like, I don't feel like just a number, even though our adjustment may be anywhere from like 2 to 5 minutes, it's like super quick in and out. They feel like it's a complete different experience because of the smells.
Because their time clock starts from the moment they come in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. And I think where we're at now is, so we started, I'm with you. Like from day one, it was like, I want to try and get all 5 senses in the chiropractic experiences. We have not found a good way because of the amount of kids that we've seen to address the like taste. Or, when you're seeing like 100 people a week and you're like, sure, we'll provide granola bars and bananas for everyone after school. Yeah. And then like my budget's like, I'm like, okay, I can no longer.
You're hitting that 400 or 500. You're like, shit, those bananas and oranges are going in like 2 hours.
No more taste experience, just up the smell. So we've diffused from day one. And then we started using them topically, but not talking about them.
Yeah.
Mostly because I don't really know a ton. Yeah. I'm like, this one says headache.
Yeah.
I have a headache. So I'm going to put this on before your neck adjustment.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll be like, that smells good. What's in that? And I'm like, it's a blend. It's got peppermint, I think. Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, I can smell that. And that's kind of where we're at. And it's funny because we're building right now a beautiful clinic that will be done in the fall. And I'm like, I just picture like plants and oils and like all this stuff. So I'm trying to get a little more hippie.
Yeah, totally. It's funny too, because people will call like 3 or 4 hours after their adjustment and be like, can you ask Dr. Lacey or Dr. Colton what they put on me? And I'm like, I have no clue. It's not like I chart that, in their notes. And I'm like, it was probably, and I pick like one of my 3 oils that I may like gravitate towards. But it's funny too. And it's like, I was talking to some chiropractors that are now in my like business group of Young Living. They were talking about how it's even like a walking billboard once those people leave, because people at the store or at home are saying, oh my gosh, you smell so good. Yeah. And then they're like, what is that? And they're like, oh, my chiropractor put on me. They use oils. And so then they're like, who's your chiropractor? And then it like goes into that conversation of, bringing in new people.
Okay. So you're telling me that people are not annoying about it being the oils that are helping them versus chiropractic. Because I'm going to trust you, because I'm going to start getting a little more oily because I want to, not because of, I agree with everything you're saying. Like, it's fantastic. Yeah. But like, I'm just kind of in that stage where I'm like, I kind of want to start.
And it's all about communication. Like, it's how you communicate it. You can't just say like, oh, they have a tummy ache. Here's some tummy jives, like rub it on their belly. It's like, this is going to help that adjustment so much more. And just like really help calm so that their body can integrate that adjustment. Mm-hmm. Usually they're like, oh yes, like I love that. It's like sleep and different things like that. And so it's really cool too, because people will be like, oh, like for a lot of muscular stuff, I use something called Deep Relief. And so I'll put it on their neck and they're like, oh my gosh, this feels so good. Like I just felt so much better after my adjustment, and just that smell and that tingly feeling, it just like catapulted the whole day, And so it's like, it's really cool how they combine the two, but it's never one or the other.
Yeah. So how important do you think it is? Like, so I now understand like how you kind of got into oils specifically. Mm-hmm. How important do you think it is to someone who's like, okay, I don't really know that I'm into oils, but I would like to do something. How important do you think it is that it is like meshes with your day job?
100%.
I kind of do too. I'm picturing like the thing that comes to mind, and I'm not trying to bash on anyone because I have both of these things in my closet, but like Rodan and Fields or LuLaRoe, where it's like, I can't really
mesh. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just the same thing as like, you can talk about that to a certain extent, but it's like, you can't bring Rodan and Fields into your practice, or you can't bring, they have these active wear stuff and all of this stuff. You can't bring all of that. I mean, you can wear it, but it's like, it's not aligned with chiropractic and the whole body, I mean, it is, but it's not. And so that's why I think like oils are so easy to implement, or, if it's even like a supplement company or whatever, it's like, my big thing though with it, if you're going to implement something, you have to be 100% in and using it in your personal life. And that was like where Colton and I were like, listen, we're using this all day long in our personal life. Everything that we use in our house, in our office, everything, they, go hand in hand. And it's like, plus it's marketing in a good way. It's not just like, buy my oil or buy my supplement or whatever. It's just like, I'm talking about it. And then people start asking about it.
Yeah. See, I like what you said there because it reminds me, Kate Jones way back, and I have no idea what episode, talk about something like self-care stacking. And, it was like taking one thing that fills multiple buckets. So in this scenario, first of all, you chose something that had a very small hurdle, it was almost like you chose all these things, it helped. And then also it was some extra dollars. Whereas I feel like a lot of people who are like, I kind of want to like add something. They're doing it from a place of like, okay, what's going to bring more dollars in? And then they're like, oh, okay, CBD.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry for any chiropractor listening who has like officially changed their logo to include chiropractic and CBD.
I can't.
So because there's some out there that are like, yes, just scrape off general wellness because there's no room on the front window and put CBD. And or coconut oil, as coconut oil a couple years ago was like berry. So, like it's not something that you have to spend all this time figuring out because you're using it constantly. And it just jives really well and markets your clinic.
Absolutely.
So you're not out there going like, here's this thing. It doesn't really take time away from your marketing. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. And that's like the thing too. It's like people will see that we use oils and that brings them in. They may not know anything about chiropractic, or they may have had a really bad experience, but especially if they're oily and they see that you have oils in the practice, that's the number one thing where people are like, oh, they get help. Because they're already, preaching health and wellness usually. A lot of like the oily communities are so congruent with how we are and how we preach like in chiropractic, but they just don't know about true chiropractic. They don't know about the nervous system. They just know, a lot of people associate, chiropractic with back pain or neck pain or whatever it is. And, in our coaching group, we were talking to some people and I was like, honestly, I would say over 50% of the people that come in for a new patient literally say, I've either never been to a chiropractor or I've had a really bad experience. I really don't have anything wrong with me, but I just know that there's something more and I think your office can help me with that. Or they're looking for general wellness. And it's like, yes, I love those people, because it's like they already get it versus Billy Bob back pain clinic. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like they're already interested in true wellness. And then that retention factor is there in the sense of like, those are going to be your lifelong people. It's not the person that comes in with headaches and wants one or two adjustments.
Yeah, that answers my question that I was going to ask a little bit, because I was like, well, if somebody comes in mostly because they saw you're oily, and this is your phrase, I'm like, I don't know, that sounds offensive, but you're using it. So are you allowed, am I allowed to call you oily?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So if somebody sees like that you're oily and they love that, but they're not really into chiropractic that they know of. I was going to ask if that was a harder conversion, but it's not, because they kind of, you already have that trust factor, and they're like, well, if you say so.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of things, like especially oils, they say to apply, like if when in doubt, apply to the spine. And so they already have a sense of awareness that the spine is associated with something in the body that controls everything. They don't know necessarily, you know, some people don't know that it's necessarily called the nervous system or it's connected to the brain or whatever, but it makes it that much easier to have that conversation. And we always use that as a metaphor. It's like, okay, you're putting oils on your kid's spine for this thing. Why wouldn't chiropractic complement that even more? And then they're like, oh, duh. Like, and then you start educating, and then it makes sense to them why chiropractic, oils, all the things really align together.
Now, in Tulsa, or oh God, what state is Tulsa in?
Oklahoma.
Right? Okay. I skipped third grade, and that's where they covered geography, I swear. So I think in Wisconsin, at least this is what my understanding was like 10 years ago, was that I can't run, and I know this is like a 3-letter word for you, probably an MLM type thing. Like I can't, like I can sell supplements and I can sell oils, but I can't benefit from signing my patients up to sell oils and then getting their sales. And any Wisconsin chiros who know legally that is not true, please let me know. But I'm pretty sure that's the truth. So like in Oklahoma, is that different, or are you not signing up patients to sell?
Yeah. So we don't have any retail. I don't know if maybe this might be the fine line. So I don't keep retail anything in the practice. So if somebody comes in and says, I want to buy a bottle of grounding, I'm like, oh, hey, I don't sell it here in the practice, but I'd love to get you hooked up with someone that does. So then I have my 2 girls. So I have an account, and then my 2 girls up front, they have an account underneath us. So then they sign the people up and then stack those people.
Yep. I think I've seen that. That's the loophole that I've seen. Yeah. There's a chiropractor in town who does a coffee.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like whenever you sign up for Young Living or doTERRA or any of these oily groups, you don't necessarily have to sell. And that's where a lot of people, they're like, oh, I don't want to buy into an MLM because then I have to sell. And it's like, no, you don't have to. You can literally, only like 2% of actually Young Living sells. And in the beginning, I was like, I'm not going to sell this. I'm just going to utilize them. And more and more of the practice members that came in, they were like, I want to buy a kit. I want to get started with this. How can I do that? And so it was stupid of me not to be like, hey, let's get, you signed up and all of that. And then if they want to learn the business aspect, then I have a group for that they can learn that. And it's not just me. It's one of my practice members who preaches and loves chiropractic so hard and so much. And she just like runs with the business aspect of it. But I mean, that side hustle has been really nice too for us. It's like our last month we hit a huge milestone. And I said, once I hit this milestone, that's all that money from Young Living was going to go towards student loans, because nobody wants to talk about student loans. Nobody wants to talk about paying them off, whatever. Everybody thinks they're going to get them forgiven. That's a whole nother conversation.
Oh my gosh. It's even worse now with this thing. Kirby and I did a student loan episode a couple months ago where I think his quote was like, do not hang your coat on the government being your 100%. Savior to write off your loans. And even with this COVID stuff, I saw some article going around that like healthcare providers on the front line are going to get their loans forgiven. And I'm like, oh, honey, you think they're going to forgive chiropractors student loans?
They're not.
They're not.
Good awakening. Yeah, no. And that's like the thing is, it's been so nice for that. And then like our practice does amazing. And that's the thing is like, I didn't want to have to worry so much about just running a chiropractic office where it was like, you hear a lot of people just barely getting by, their overhead's outrageous, all of this stuff. I wanted that money to be our money. And then my Young Living business to take care of my student loans. I didn't want to have to worry about paying my student loans and all of that, like through the business, and just all the bills and different things. So that's where I kind of got motivated to be like, hey, let's start this side hustle. And then that's like came up to, okay, there's more opportunities for other side hustles too.
Yep. So with your new level, is it silver?
Silver.
See, I told you I'm stalking the shit.
There you go.
So how many years, if you were to keep at this pace, would you pay off your loans in? Do you know?
Probably like 5 years.
That's amazing. And what did you come out of school with?
250. Just whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the standard now, isn't it?
Yeah. We didn't have any undergrad or anything like that. I think we took out like maybe one little grad plus. It was like 5,000. But yeah, it's crazy how much like chiropractic school is. People always message me that are like, I'm so interested in chiropractic school because seeing your office and doing what you do. And I'm like, know what you're getting into. Mm-hmm. And I can like, I'm on the women's chiropractic group, and it makes me so sad when people comment on there and they're like, I just want to quit. This is so hard. And it's like, it doesn't have to be hard, but it's like, it is, but you have to be 100% passionate about chiropractic to really make a business out of it.
Yeah. Well, and you and Colton, I mean, so many people are very passionate about it. You and Colton market it aesthetically, deliver it to people in an incredible way. Mm-hmm. So is Colton involved at all in marketing?
Yeah, I mean, we both are. We
do. Yeah. Hold on, before I move on to the marketing aspect. So are you just kicking Colton's ass and paying off student loans?
No, because he makes a paycheck too. Okay. He's like, one of my people. So he gets this, paycheck, and he's like, I don't do anything. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You don't do anything.
You don't do shit. He's like, I allow oils in this clinic.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like, you can go find your own side gig if you want, honey.
Yeah.
Got it. What was I talking about? Oh, marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. So is a lot of your oil marketing on your personal Instagram?
Yeah. We don't ever do any oil posts. I'll put like one or two things, like we'll post about an oily event. So we do like oil events. Like we did a Mom and Me Teether event. We did an emotions and oils event, which was so awesome because I got to put in my stuff about chiropractic, and I do something called the emotion code for certain people. And so I got to bring all of that in, and then how like oils can also supplement that. That was like a huge one. We did a hormones one. So those like events we'll do on the professional page, mm-hmm. but everything oily sales wise is on my personal. And that's the thing, like even whenever I made that post about hitting silver, I had so many people message me and say, I didn't even realize you were running a business with Young Living. I thought you were just like using and sharing. And that's always what I wanted, is I wanted it to be like so authentic. I'm using it. If you want to, buy a kit or whatever, I would love to help you, but I'm not going to sit here and be in your DMs and say, hey, I have found this really great product that you should use. It's like, that's so, I just don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh shit. You just said something that I was like, oh, I want to know more about that. It'll come back to me. I'll probably interrupt you mid-sentence. I'm like, oh, I remembered. So how do you handle, because I feel like this isn't specific to oils, but like anytime that you're like we've associated with this brand, mm-hmm. how do you handle the doTERRA Young Living battle? Because that would just cause drama in my life. And I'm like, oh, just use your damn doTERRA. I don't care.
Nobody ever says anything. We have like two people in the practice that use doTERRA. And so I'll say like, hey, are you familiar with this oil? And they're like, oh, that's equivalent to this in doTERRA. And I'm like, awesome, use that.
Okay, so you take that normal person stance, totally. Not the like self-righteous. Your oil is, oh my gosh. So I had really funny maternity leave stories, both times, both really funny. But the first one, and keep in mind, there's very few options of people who are willing to cover in Northwest Wisconsin. So it wasn't like I interviewed these people and I'm like, yeah, you're perfect. It was like, you'll do for 5 weeks. So I'm interviewing her, and she's a little kooky. Mm-hmm. And we're standing there talking about something, basically how I do like a review of findings. And she has something behind me, and she goes, oh, that's what it is. And I was like, what happened? And I look behind me, and there was an open or an uncapped bottle of Thieves, like a rollerball with no top on. Mm-hmm. And she goes, ever since I walked in this clinic, I've had a terrible, terrible headache. You should not use this, doTERRA. And I'm just like, oh God.
Oh, no.
And I think I was like 38 weeks pregnant. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a crazy oil lady taking over my practice for a little bit. And I'm just going to hold my breath and hope that she doesn't ruin my business.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. So you don't market anything on your personal. One of the last questions I do kind of have is, around your and Colton's marketing of your practice.
Yeah.
Because you guys do, I actually remember what it was. Hold on. We're going to come back to marketing one time. You said you have an emotion code. What?
Yeah. So if you aren't familiar with emotion code, you should totally buy the book. It is so awesome. It was created by a chiropractor. I was trying to see if I had my book here, but I don't know if it is here. Anyway, I can't remember who. I'm like blanking on who actually created it.
Bradley Nelson?
Yes. So his story is like the first half of it is he talks about just like how different emotions are stored in different organs and glands, which we all know that. It's how like the nervous system is connected. And so Colton and I, we both did a lot of training with Brett Jones. And so in his seminars, he does a lot of physical components, but he does emotional components. And then we started dabbling into like more tonal techniques in the sense of like BGI and working different systems. That's when we really got first introduced to emotions. And then I read the emotion code and I was like, why is nobody talking about this? It's made by a chiropractor. He talks about it's almost like energetic healing. So it can be kind of like taboo to people, but certain people, like if they come in with, like fibromyalgia, something crazy where you're like, they've been everywhere. They've been to the Mayo. Nobody can explain these symptoms. A lot of times that has a huge emotional component. I'll say, hey, we're going to do an emotion code here in like 2 or 3 months. So I usually wait until they're on wellness and I take them into our closed room and it takes 5 minutes. So it's really like you follow a chart, you're asking the body certain questions. You can do muscle testing or leg checks. And so the body responds to certain things and you don't even have to say it out loud, which is super cool. It's just more subconscious. So usually I just ask the body different questions, do it, and then we clear it. So you can use like a magnet or your hand. I'll put oils on people too. And I always tell them, hey, this is what we're going to do. I never really explain, like, I'm just going to say, hey, we're going to release some emotions. We're going to use oils. And then I'm going to do some stuff on you. You're just going to feel me like pressing on your legs or checking different muscles. And then I'm going to adjust you and then you're good to go. And so I always end it with the adjustment. And I've had like people break down crying afterwards. Like,
crap. How do you handle that as a 7? You're like, emotions.
I am not an emotional person. It's funny. My CA last week, she said, do you ever cry? I was like, oh my God.
You can't.
I was like, no, it takes a lot for me to cry, but it's cool because it's like another thing that aligns with chiropractic. I don't charge extra for it or anything, but it's really like, you don't want to release those emotions and we have an open adjusting bay. So it's like, people will like, we've had people cry, laugh, get off the table, like different things, but that emotion code like been so big for our practice. It did get to the point though, like those people that were getting it, they were like, I want this every, month. Because they felt so amazing and they just felt different changes. So it was like, okay, we only do them at certain times, and I put like a time limit of like how many people. Usually if they're like, I want to do so many emotion codes, I refer them out to someone that does that solely.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can implement it with the adjustment, super easy. You can do it in like 5 minutes with your adjustment.
I ordered the book while you were talking, so I'm excited.
So awesome. I gift it to chiropractors all the time because especially if they do if they're kind of scared to like tap into emotional stuff, it's really cool because it's eye-opening and it aligns with philosophically everything that we do.
Absolutely. Okay. Back to my marketing question.
Okay.
So how do you and Colton split the marketing since you both seem to have a very clear creative idea? And obviously it aligns, but like, how do you do you have like, he does Instagram, I do Facebook, or like how do you set that up so it's organized?
Literally every Sunday we go to the coffee shop. Right now, obviously we're not going coffee shops, but we'll do it at the house and we lay out the whole week. Okay, so it's usually like, okay. And in the beginning, when we were first opening up, it was like, we've got to lay out the whole week. We want everything set in stone. Now we kind of like play with it and say, oh, if something comes up that day, let's talk about it and make a post. And we've trained our girls too, to start doing like Instagram, and we just like align Instagram and Facebook. But he does a lot of like the perfect storm, that type of stuff. He's very like analytical too, which is interesting because I'm not analytical to a certain extent, but he does a lot of like that whole very neurologically based stuff. And I do more of like the free spirit type of stuff. So it's nice because we can merge them together.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes
planning
sense.
out a day and planning out the whole week is so much easier. And it's like aesthetics are so big. I talk about this all the time with like social media. People are so drawn to Instagram right now. And it's interesting. Younger generations, definitely like people from, let's say like 16 to almost 40 are Instagram heavy. A little bit older is more Facebook heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you have mom groups and things like that. Those people are more on Facebook, but Instagram, I feel like for us has been the biggest. Really our Facebook like lives and different things like that, they don't get like webinars. They don't get huge traction. It's more of like our Instagram stuff.
Yep. And that makes sense. Okay. So last thing is, what's this Tulum thing? Hopefully I'm allowed to ask about this. I can edit this out, but like, so I saw rumors, did COVID mess with something?
It's funny because right before I jumped on this call, I did a video on my Instagram just saying like, here's a little update. Yeah. So right before, what was that? It was like right around Colton's birthday, March like 14th, 17th time. We were supposed to go to Mexico. Literally our flight left at 5:30 on a Friday morning. It was Thursday night at 9 p.m. and we were like, we probably shouldn't go just because it was like everything was shutting down here.
Your seven heart was just broken.
Oh, 100%.
Did it make you cry?
No, I was pissed. I honestly was so mad. I was like, I can't believe we're not. And Colton was like, let's just go. But they were like rumored to close the borders on Saturday, like all this stuff. And they ended up closing the borders and my mom flew back early because she was down there. And so we pushed it back to Memorial Day weekend, which is this weekend, thinking that everything would be open. And here we are. So Southwest actually canceled our flights like a month ago and we had no idea that they did. We were like, what the hell? But anyway, so we're going to try to do it in June to go down there. So my parents we've had a house in Tulum area literally since it was like a straight up hippie, it wasn't so like hotspot as it is now. Like the hotels that you see for like $900 to $1,200 a night were $30 a night type thing. And they were the same concept. But so we're creating this retreat. It was honestly, we were supposed to start on it last year. We were, doing a wedding, all the things, really like hustling with the business. So we put it off. This year, we're really going to try to catapult it and get everything set up. There's a lot of things that Colton and I, I said in the beginning, like we do a lot of seminars and different things like that. There's a lot of things that we've learned over time that, yes, we can always like go to adjusting seminars and all of that, but we don't do enough like actually like self-work practices. And so that's what we want to create. We want to create a student-driven program and then a chiropractor like driven program. Not necessarily like we'll mingle a little bit of business, but more like really digging into mindset, because mindset is the number one thing that I see, especially in startup land, that just is shit. For, to be clear.
Yes.
It's like,
well, you're surrounded by so many failures.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you're doing things, but it's like you're not confident in what you're delivering. There's no clarity in what you're delivering because you don't know what you want. Or people think, oh, I can mirror free spirit and create this bomb ass practice. And it's like, you have to be authentically you. And so that's what we want to create. Plus a little bit of service. So in the beginning, we wanted to be super service heavy because we went on a mission trip to Haiti. We served for like 7 days. I mean, hard, like 400 people a day, like crazy, life-changing. But we realized, okay, the one day that we got to go to the beach and like really hang out was like one of the best days because we got to like just talk to each other and, about our goals and dreams and whatever. So we want to like mingle a little bit of the service and give back, but also really working on that mindset and self-work and like just really like creating an authentic person out of the retreat, because I think that's the big thing is like everybody's so social media heavy. And it's interesting. People will like unfollow once they get so big, like on Instagram, they'll unfollow people that they've known for years because they're comparing to those people, which I think is so interesting because it's like, okay, you have 50,000 followers and you're worried about still comparing to other people. And it's like, that's not cool. It's like, you've known these people personally for a long time. So it's like, again, that authenticity is so important. And it's like, fuck the system. Like I'm going to be my own self. And so we want to create something that's surrounded by that.
So you're hoping to do June. Well, gosh, I hope we do June.
Yeah.
I hope that we are able to fly to Mexico in June.
I know. Fingers crossed. My mom said that the border is supposed to open the 1st. And so we're hoping to go down there, get everything set up so that we can launch it either in the fall or next year.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, keep me posted so I can share it. Okay. So tell people your Instagram handle, business and personal, so they can stalk you like I do.
Yeah. My personal is at Free Spirit Chiro. And then my professional is at Free Spirit Chiropractic, which is so funny because people all the time will like follow both. And which is nice because it's like creating your personal brand and your professional brand. I had that name while in school. And so I just never changed it because it's my brand now.
Yeah.
And then Colton's is Dr._Thunder, which is so funny because a kid in the practice would come in and call him that. And so that's why he changed it.
That's why he changed it? He changed it because a kid called him Dr. Thunder?
Yeah. That's why we used to be Quantum Connector. And then, he changed it to Dr. Thunder because this kid like would come in all the time and be like, Dr. Thunder. And now it's like he always gets called Dr. Bolton by the kids. And so he's like, perfect. And he also has like we got these on Friday the 13th, these tattoos. And he has a cloud with lightning and it says 13 in the lightning. So he just loves that.
Yeah, I've been eyeing up your cactus tattoo on your forearm this whole time. And I'm like, that is so cute. This is another thing we share in common besides Instagram junkies, part 7s who just love to go on any trips. Margaritas and plants. Anytime that Lacey posts a picture, you got like some fiddly fig for $80. And I'm like, what?
Yes.
So jealous.
Oh yeah. I live for my plants.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having this conversation today. I think I might be my next, it's going to be my 7th thing. It's going to be the next 7th thing I do. I'm like, all right, I'm getting into oils. That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. Well, reach out to Lacey on Instagram with any questions you may have. Send her DM. She's on there like I am. Thank you everyone so much for listening. Hopefully we didn't offend any doTERRA salespeople or Organo Gold coffee people or Zaya Activewear or I don't know. The list goes on and on. I officially have one hater out there now. Did you see that? Oh God. I posted it on Instagram. I got an email. Oh wait,
I think I did see that.
Yeah, saying like, so all caps, so many exclamation marks, stop sending me these stupid emails. And I'm like, okay. And I just replied back, I will never stop.
Yeah, I will never stop.
I think we like switched email servers. And so I have a feeling she canceled like right in the switch and didn't get unsubscribed. And I'm like, I don't know. Sorry, lady. But anyway, so you can send me hate mail. Send it to me, not Lacey, for anybody who got offended. But we love you so much. And just keep on slaying. Until next week, guys. Bye.